think Stephanie's just having a hard time getting it to work.
Just 1 second, I got my sound off. Sounds like there we go. Hello. Try talking again.
Stephanie's just having a hard time getting the thing to work, but
Okay. Just in case I got a full battery, but I'm gonna go grab my power cord.
Sure.
Was Aish coming as well? I thought maybe.
oh, I'm not sure.
You running a presentation?
No, last year we just sort of introduced ourselves and then opened it up to questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no screen sharing or anything needed. Sorry, I asked to mute you. Oops.
So Steph said she's trying to get in, but it says, please wait. The webinar will start soon.
Maybe, I wonder if she was set up as a panelist. Maybe not. Anyway, we're about to start in a minute, so as long as she can get in, I just hope that her microphone will work if she's here or at home.
No, she's at home. We'll see. We'll hope. Sent her another link, so maybe she'll be able to get in.
And PJ is going to try to assist her if there's anything he can do, but hopefully when I launch this now, we'll be able to get on. All right, well, let's start her.
Awesome.
I see the attendee list growing rapidly. So we'll give it a moment here, but welcome everyone. All right, a great turnout. We'll just give a few more minutes to allow folks to join. If you are here for the Mount Allison webinar on course registration, you are in the right place. We'll soon be giving you lots of useful information that you can best prepare your class schedule, your course selection. You're going to meet some people today who will be here to guide you in that process, but also throughout the rest of your time at Mount Allison as well. So this will be a good introduction if you have not yet met our academic advisors. But just to allow everyone the chance to join before we begin, we'll just give it a few more moments. We always love to hear where people are coming from. If you do want to pop into the chat where you're joining from today, we always like to know where people are in the world. Knowing Mount A attracts students from all over the globe. And we do have the Q&A running as well for the webinar. I see it looks like already, oh, hi, Callie. So a statement, and that's fine. So whether you want to use the chat to tell us about yourself, the Q&A will be a good place to ask questions. And certainly we will go through those questions and answer them live. There's also some other useful details that the advisors will be able to share that everyone should know. But if you have a question, you've been curious about something, this is certainly the time to ask that question. We're here as long as you are to answer those questions. All right, it looks like our attendees are starting to level out. Just want to check in. So Stephanie, I'm going to allow you to talk. Stephanie is our other academic advisor along with Sarah. Maybe just give it a try, Steph, and see if you are able to use your mic.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
There you are. We can hear you.
Awesome. All right. Oh, I'm gonna get my, I didn't realize my camera wasn't on here. Just one sec here. Now it is possible if you're joining as an attendee, maybe your camera will not allow you. I'm going to see what I can do there for you. Just give me one second. I think I did get in as a panelist.
Okay.
I don't know. I was trying to log in all these different places, but I do think I managed.
Sure. Let me
okay.
See if there's anything else. Promote to panelist. There we go.
Oh, yay. Okay.
There we go. All right. I think there we got Stephanie and Sarah. I think we should be able to share cameras. So for everybody who doesn't know me yet, maybe you saw me on our last webinar on everything you need to know before the acceptance deadline, where we shared lots of useful information for those students who were looking to accept their offers of admission and understand the next steps. So I am the senior member of the admissions team. My name is Curtis Michaelis, and it's been great. I see some names that I recognize here on the list. It's been awesome. And just on behalf of the whole admissions team, it's been a really great year working with all of you through, the time the application opened in October to now. It's been a long journey, but you're here ready to start selecting courses, which is really exciting. It's one of the most exciting parts of, first year university is knowing what courses you're going to take. And I know that comes with a lot of excitement, but also perhaps some trepidation as well, maybe a little bit of nervousness, maybe a little bit of confusion. And so that's really the intention of the webinar here today, is to allow you to speak to those individuals in the registrar's office who are the real course registration experts and academic advising experts, to give you kind of that useful information. So without me talking all day, I'm going to turn it over to those individuals and allow them to introduce themselves. And then I will monitor the chats and the Q&As. And I'll just shoot out questions as they come to you, Sarah and Stephanie. So please take it away.
Awesome, thank you. Thanks, Curtis. So my name is Sarah Cormier, and I am the academic advisor at Mount Allison for all students in the Bachelor of Commerce and the Bachelor of Science programs.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Richard. I am the academic advisor for students in the Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Fine Arts, Bachelor of Music, and the Bachelor of Arts and Science combined program.
And so academic advising is a service that we provide to students to kind of aid you in academic decision making. So for first year and for right now, what that really means for you is that we're going to help you choose the right courses for first year. Just make sure, you know, any questions you have about what courses you should be taking, what distribution is, how many credits you should or courses you should be taking per term. Those are the types of questions that will probably help you with the most this year. But then going forward, we also help you throughout your entire time at Mount Allison, making sure that you're taking the right courses for your degree, letting you know exactly what you have left to do, letting you know different major and minor options you might have, you know, clarifying any questions you might have about honors, if that's something that's of interest to you. So we're really here to help you answer most questions that you're going to have about your courses and your degree. And then if we don't have the answers, we can also provide the right people to talk to for any other questions you might have. One of the most important things at Mount A that we want you to know is that you should be asking us questions as much as possible along the way. No questions too big or too small. Don't feel like you can't reach out to us. We're here to help you.
That's right. And this is a very exciting time. You know, you're choosing courses, and I know that it may feel very daunting. There are, you know, these things called prerequisites that you have to kind of prepare for in advance to make sure that you are, you know, doing like your steps ahead to make sure that you're getting what you need in order to register in these courses later on. But like Sarah said, we're here every step of the way. And we encourage you to email us if you can't get an appointment. Sometimes during registration period, our appointments do fill up quite quickly. So please don't let that deter you from getting in touch with us. Send us an email. And if there is something that does require a meeting, we will find a time that works for both of us and meet with you to make sure that everything is all set for starting in September.
And if you feel like you haven't gotten any information yet, that's because we haven't sent out an email yet to provide you with the links and the tools that you'll need. That email is going to come out this week. So any student who has paid their registration deposit will be receiving an email this week from staff and myself that provides you with some links for course related information. So we have a nice website that's made just specifically for first year students. With tools and resources to help you kind of pick your courses. And last, as Stephanie mentioned, don't feel that you have to meet with us before you choose your courses. You can choose your courses first. Appointments do book up quite quickly, so please register when registration opens for you on June 1st. And then if you have questions, you can always let us know after that as well. If you just want us to check and make sure you're registering the right courses, we can do that for you too.
Oh, this will be a good time for questions. I know everyone likely has questions. Many of you probably have the same questions. So if you're thinking about something right now, but a little nervous to ask it, trust me, there's probably somebody else in the session with the same question. And, you know, just know that this is a new process. It's a bit different than applying to high school with your high school courses or your secondary school courses. Maybe you haven't had, you know, siblings who have attended university, or perhaps parents, guardians who have attended university. And this might be even your first time going through this sort of process. So please don't feel at all embarrassed if it's confusing to you. I know it was confusing to me as a student when I first started, and it took me a long time of playing around with my schedule until I felt like I had it right, and what I eventually, you know, took in my first year. So if you've kind of logged into the system and tried it out, or if you haven't even got to that stage, really, we're here for you, and that's the time. So I see some people letting us know where they're from, and that's fantastic. Not just you know, individuals joining from Canada, right across Canada, but we have individuals from India, Kuwait, right across the other coast in BC, right to the tip of Cape Breton on our east coast here. So lots of individuals, which is great to see. Thanks for sharing that. I do have a question though, so we'll start it off. Thank you, Lucas. Can you still get a minor if you also want to get an honors?
Sure. So I'll answer that. Yes, if you decide that or are approved for the honors program, you can still complete a minor. It is not a requirement. The honors program, you don't find out that you've been approved for that program until you're right before your 4th year of study. And so it is something that you have to apply to, you have to meet a certain GPA requirement for. And so we would definitely suggest that you are planning for a minor, just in case, as a backup plan, in case you're not able to get into honors or you change your mind. But even if you do get approved for honors after your 3rd year of university, you can still definitely pursue a minor as well.
Thank you, Sarah. We have, what's another one from Fahad? What subjects do I have to take in my 1st year in Bachelor of Science Aviation? So the aviation question, we knew it was coming. So if you are an aviation student, please perk up your ears.
So that's me as well. So I would be your academic advisor for the Bachelor of Science major in aviation. So for the science aviation, you're going to be taking a combination of courses in math, so calculus, computer science, geography and environment, so like an environmental science and a weather and climate course, and physics. So you'll take 2 first-year physics courses as well. On top of those main requirements, you'll also be wanting to look ahead into the other subjects that you might be interested in going forward in the aviation major. And that's something that I can talk to you about individually, and kind of decide where you think you're going to go for your upper level courses. And that will help inform what courses you want to take for your 1st year. And then distribution requirements. So every student in the Bachelor of Commerce, Bachelor of Science, and Bachelor of Arts will have distribution requirements to complete. And so I can help you figure out what you should be doing there as well. So again, if you have questions about your specific program and what courses you should be taking, just reach out to us and we can help you with that.
Okay, now we have one from Parmis. Hello, hope you are well. We talk to you individually before choosing the classes. I have an appointment, but it's for the 1st days of July. Do you recommend waiting or just registering to not be late?
Definitely register for courses on the day that registration opens up. There is, in the email that you will be receiving from us this week, you will have, the guidelines on how to go through the registration system. There's actually like 1st year recommendations for all of the different majors and minors in different programs. So you can use that as a guide. If you are feeling jittery after you do it and you're not sure about what you are doing and you just want confirmation, send us an email. Let us know that you have registered in your courses and we can certainly check that out for you. We may not get back to you right away because it is a busy period of time, but we will get back to you as soon as we can. And then when you do have that appointment booked, we can meet and kind of go through things a little bit more thoroughly and, talk about your plans moving forward from there. So definitely, yes, register as soon as that registration period opens up for you. I would actually recommend having, your courses all picked out and ready to go for that time period, and then you can register in the courses at that time.
Excellent. From Ellen, what time on June 1st does course registration open?
There will be different times on June 1st. You will receive an email prior to registration opening that gives you your time.
Yes, monitor your email, but it would be some point on June 1st. Yeah, so there's another one here, Filippo. Since I'm going in first as the Bachelor of Arts, but I'm going to do computer science program, do I only take Bachelor of Arts for the whole semester or the year? So I'm thinking maybe a little bit of an explanation on if you're planning to do kind of that major in computer science, what other combination of courses in 1st year as a Bachelor of Arts student would you have? Maybe how I'm interpreting that.
I think, yeah, that's how I interpreted it. And it is a common question among students. And so for the Bachelor of Arts program, you are in a Bachelor of Arts and then your major is sort of what you declare as part of the Bachelor of Arts. So the computer science major can be declared under the sciences or under the arts. The difference is under the arts, you're going to have more flexibility. So if that's sort of what you're looking for and, you want a minor in maybe more of an arts or social science discipline, then I definitely recommend sticking with the BA. I don't know if it is your intention to switch over into the Bachelor of Science eventually. Some students are doing that depending on the math requirement incoming. So we can certainly have a discussion about that if that is something that you're looking to do. But other than that, you are registering in the same courses, like from computer science, as you would if you were in the Bachelor of Science program. And so all of this will be in that email that we send you. You can go in, there is first year recommended courses for Bachelor of Arts students. Under there, you can scroll down, find where it says computer science. It has all of your recommended courses there. But like I said, if you are looking to switch into the Bachelor of Science, maybe you want to send us an email and then we can sort of give you the ropes on how to go about that in your first year. I hope that answered your question.
Okay, so we got lots of other individuals telling us where they're from. Thank you for that. The next one is, so, you know, this is maybe a unique situation, but with Callie Foster, and what about fine arts with aviation? So I know, Callie, you've already been in touch with Stephanie a little bit about this, but maybe let's just go over that. And if there are any artistic minded individuals that might be considering some aspect of fine arts in your future at Mount A, but you also are interested in aviation, maybe this explanation will be helpful for you.
So yeah, so the BA Aviation is a brand new addition. It does come with some caveats, being that this is going to be a lot of work depending on, you know, what area you want to go into. And so for somebody who is looking to do a Bachelor of Arts with a major in fine arts is pretty prescribed, meaning that, you know, you're taking very necessary courses from one year to the next, and they're leading into one another from one year to the next. So you have to plan things out from the very beginning. And on top of that, you're balancing that with your flying at MFC, which is also very intense. And so, you know, if you're choosing to do a major at Mount Allison, that does require a significant amount of time, like the fine arts major does, you know, you want to make sure that you are prepared to take this on, because it is a lot of work. But it is a possibility. And, you know, I never, ever want to tell students that, no, you can't do this. Within reason. There are some things that you can't do because we don't have the regulations for it. But in terms of what you want to finish, you know, I'm willing to work with you to see what we can do to make sure that this is completed in a timely manner. Now I know that, yeah, we had the conversation already. Is it Kaylee that's asking? Is that what you said? Yeah. So Kaylee and I have discussed this already. She's already talked to the fine arts department, and that's precisely what I would recommend for any students that were looking to do these sorts of programs, like something that is very prescribed at Mount Allison, along with the MFC program. So definitely get in touch with me if this is something that you are looking to do, and we can kind of take a look at things and make a tentative plan for you moving forward based on what your interests are and based on how you want to move forward. But it's definitely a possibility, but it is on a case-by-case basis of, you know, what you're interested in and how you can move forward. So best to get in touch with me and we can talk about that one-on-one.
Okay, Keon, Ben Pathurst asked, what prerequisites are required for a Bachelor's of Commerce program in first year?
So I think you mean like what first year courses you need to take. And so this is, again, all on our website, where we're going to be sending out a link for you. But if you want to have a look at it now, it is mta.ca/reghelp/new students. So this link will be coming out to you this week, probably tomorrow. But for first year commerce, you would be taking 2 commerce courses. So one is Intro to Business Studies and the other one is Quantitative Analysis. And then you take macro and microeconomics. So those are kind of your 4 main important courses. And then on top of those, you're going to be looking at what we call distribution requirements. And so distribution requirements are courses for commerce students, are courses for outside of commerce, outside of the social sciences, really, in arts and letters and humanities. And so you will have 2 courses from each of those areas to complete. And in first year, a lot of students in commerce are able to get those done. So in their first year. And then aside from that, you'll be looking at courses for a minor. So in the commerce program, you are required to do a non-commerce minor. Some options, like popular options, would be economics, psychology, our languages are often used, political science, international politics are all really popular ones for the Bachelor of Commerce degree, but you are allowed to minor in anything that we offer. So those are sort of what you're going to be doing in first year. There's only really 2 commerce courses that you'll be taking, some economics courses, and then the rest will be filled up with history and courses of interest. Links to all of this again are going to be provided to you in the email that we'll send, and so we actually have the course codes and links to where to find those courses on our website as well.
I just want to add to, I think I missed a part of Kaylee's question. I think part of your question was asking what you should be taking. And I just want to make it clear that for the fine arts students, they are pre-registered in specific courses. So for your BA fine arts portion of your degree will be pre-registered in the first year fine arts courses along with those art history courses. But if you do want to talk about what other courses you can take on the side to sort of get some of those distribution completed, feel free to send me an email and we can kind of go through that.
Okay, from Ellen, we have what happens if the courses we need to take in first year are full, fill up before we can register?
Sure. For first year courses, they shouldn't fill up entirely before you register. So for the most part, you know, the only students who are registering right now are upper level students. So not a lot of those students are going to be taking first year courses. What you may find though is that if you put off registration, you know, for a little bit of time, some of the preferred sections can fill up. So let's say you're a biology student and the biology lab that you really wanted that fits the best in your schedule was filled up by the time you went to go to register, and you weren't able to register for it, or like a certain class, so there might be 2 different times that a class is offered. That can happen, and if it does, you can add yourself to the wait list for a class that is full. You cannot add yourself to a wait list for a lab, so you would have to kind of keep an eye out on the schedule. You have all summer, so once you register for your courses, you do have all summer to make changes to your fall winter term, and then you have until January to make changes to your winter. So if something fills up that you wanted, you can be adding yourself to the wait list for the class and keeping an eye on it, and keeping an eye on the lab times if there's something else, like a different lab that you would prefer to be in. But you shouldn't on June 1st see too many courses that are completely full at the first year level.
I'm going to chime in too, because there are some courses on the art side of things that are really high demand. There's one new course offering Intro to Creative Writing that I think is already almost full. And so if it does happen that you see that these courses that you really want to take are full already, just put yourself on the wait list as soon as possible. So you don't have to panic, you don't need to email us about getting put onto the wait list, but just wait list as soon as you can. That way you'll have the best chance of getting into the class before it starts. And also please know that these courses will be offered typically every year. So if they are not, like with the science programs, what Sarah was talking about, it is a little bit more like you do want to get into your prerequisite courses, but with the arts, it is very flexible. In first year, we do just want you to kind of be exploring different areas, getting used to things and sort of exploring things that maybe you didn't know that you would like, or areas that you've heard about. And so with that, if there is a course that you really want to take, know that it will likely be offered the next year, if not on a 2-year rotation, and you will be able to take that course in another year. And as you move up in years, your space in where you register gets, you know, you're put more toward the beginning. So a 4th year student would get priority registration followed by 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. So as you move up in years, you will be able to register for these courses before other students. So you'll have a better chance of getting it if you don't get into this desired class in your first year.
All right, lots of questions flying in now, so let's keep moving. Ismail asks, I don't feel confident with my calculus skills. Should I still apply for the math 10-15 course, 10-15 course, or should I go with functions?
I think this is also going to depend on what program you are in. And so you should definitely reach out to advising if you do have questions specifically about what courses you should be taking. A note about the calculus. So if you're a Bachelor of Science student, or if you need to take calculus for your program, the only calculus that is available is Math 1151. Applied Calculus is the only calculus course that we are offering at Mount Allison. It is available both fall and winter terms, but there is a math assessment test that needs to be done, and you need to be successful in order to take it. That has changed this year, how they're going to be offering the math assessment test. It'll now be offered in the first week of classes. If you're not successful in the math assessment test, then you will need to take functions, so Math 1011 in the fall term, and then you can take applied calculus in the winter term. How that works for your degree program, it really depends on each student. And so you should reach out to me in advising if you have questions about that and how it will affect your degree and progression through your degree. There is on Moodle, which again is going to be a new thing that you'll be using. There are some practice tests that you can use to see how you are faring and how you might be able to do on the placement test. But if you're deciding to register when registration opens up for Math 1151, which is applied calculus, keep in mind that you may have to change your registration if you're not successful in the placement test.
Okay. We have a question from Gwen. Are there certain courses that every student needs to take despite what you're studying?
There are not specific courses that every student needs to take, but as Sarah mentioned earlier, in the Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Commerce, Bachelor of Science, and the BASC, you do require distribution credits. So these are 2 courses taken from 4 different categories. There's arts and letters, humanities, social science, and science. So as long as you're filling those categories, it doesn't matter what subject it is, as long as the subject falls under those specific categories. So no, there's not, I know that some universities you have to take a specific English course. There's nothing like that. That would be, specific to your major or minor, but in general, all of those students following those programs would have to complete a distribution requirement. So that is something that you will have to complete.
Okay. There's a question. I don't know if we covered the Commerce Aviation first year courses. I know we went over Fine Arts, Science.
Sure. So that's me also. Commerce Aviation is very, very, very specific. So I'm going to answer another question that I had seen come up here as well to do with the Commerce Aviation. There is no room in Commerce Aviation for electives. There are distribution requirements, but there's also no minor required for that program. And so the courses that you take are very specific. They are going to fall in line for the most part in first year as the other commerce students. So you're taking, again, your 2 first year commerce courses, 2 economics courses. I would strongly recommend that you reach out for advising if you are in the Commerce Aviation program. So you can either email aviation@mta.ca or you can email advisor@mta.ca. It's going to be really important, especially for commerce students in aviation, to reach out for that type of advising, and Bachelor of Arts Aviation as well, to reach out for some advising. And another question was about switching from science to Commerce Aviation. If you are thinking that you would like to do Commerce Aviation, it's really important that you're choosing commerce courses, because there's not a lot of courses from the Science Aviation that are transferable over to Bachelor of Commerce. So if that's something that you think you want to do, you might want to make that decision before coming to Mount Allison.
Yeah, and you could either officially request a change program through us in admissions, but there's no real restrictions on the courses you register in. So we would advise you contacting us if you're in science now and planning to switch to commerce or vice versa. We can make that change really easily for you, just so everything is set up in the right program for you. But you would have access to register for science or commerce courses and could make that adjustment after. IB courses. So the
question is, what score do you need in IB courses for them to count as university credits? And I can let individuals know that that's a score of at least 5 on an IB subject, but maybe just knowing there are probably other students taking IB and questions about transfer credits, maybe we could just go over that quickly.
Yeah, so if you did the IB diploma, you need to have an overall score of at least 26 without your bonus points for us to look at your high level, standard level, and theory of knowledge with scores of 5 or higher. If you were below a 26 or you did the IB courses instead of the diploma program, we're only going to look at your high level with a score of 5 or higher. If you look at the website, you can actually go to mta.ca/IB and you can see what kind of credits you might be able to get. That's our advanced standing page. So you can kind of get an idea. But since we won't have your transcripts until July, we would strongly recommend that you register as a first-year student when registration opens up. Pretend that you're not getting any transfer credits and just register as usual. And then in July, when we have your evaluations, you will receive an email from us with a credit evaluation form, and then you can see what credits you've received and then make changes to registration if applicable.
Okay, so our next question. When we register on June 1st, do we also plan out what day and times we have those classes, or is there a later date we figure that out? So yes, it's all generally there contained in the course. And as you start to fill in your class schedule, you'll see that more visually as well, kind of on the schedule with the times throughout the day. So, sometimes that does take a little playing around and fitting things in and, making sure that you have the right lab section to fit in with your other courses, but you will see all that at the time of registration. Anything to add there that I'm missing?
Sometimes it is a little bit stressful to think about only 10 minutes in between class. So I do get that question a lot. But if you have 10 minutes, that is plenty of time to get from one end of campus to the other. We're quite small, and we've all been students here as well and have all done that, where we had one class after the other, and I don't think any of us have been late. Like it is definitely possible to make it.
Usually still time for a coffee and to print something in the library. So yeah, there's a question just here. I'm going to just pop 2 links into the chat. There's a question about where do I find the types of courses offered at Mount A? So in a few different places you can find that, but if you want to know what's being offered this fall and this winter, you can certainly do that through your student portal where you're searching for courses. But these 2 links I'm about to share in the chat are the timetable links as well. So it shows you all the courses being offered in the fall, all the courses being offered in the winter. And then you can also find some information with a bit more detail in the academic calendar. So I'll just put that link. So if you're wondering where I'm putting these links, just into the chat, not into the Q&A, but you can find them and you might find some of these links useful. Another one here is for a first-year science student with an undecided major, how many labs are recommended to have in one semester? Most science courses have a lab included.
Yeah, so it's going to depend. So what I would suggest for students who are unsure which major they want to proceed with, you can look at the link that I'm going to give you tomorrow, where we have under Bachelor of Science, we have a recommended list of courses for all the majors. And so or you can email me, and I usually just ask, okay, which subjects do you definitely like and which ones do you definitely not like? What subjects are you definitely not going to want to major in? And then I can kind of help you pick which courses are most important to you. We would suggest a maximum of 4 science courses per term. In some programs, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do, or if you're not certain, it might be more like 5 courses in one term that all have labs. It is a lot, but a lot of the time students find that labs are actually quite helpful and are kind of an added like a way to test your knowledge and what you've been learning in a smaller group setting. But 4 would be what we kind of hope for. If you're in biochemistry, that can be more challenging. For example, in the fall term, you might be seeing more like 5 science courses with 5 labs.
What are some of the course requirements for a major in biochemistry? There was another question about environmental science, the type of sub-courses I should be taking.
Sure. And so that's going to be on, again, on that link. Each major is listed there, but for biochemistry, in first year, you're going to be taking 2 chemistry courses. You're going to be taking a first year biochem course, which for a lot of students is something new. You're going to be taking usually 2 physics courses, 2 calculus courses, and hopefully trying to fit in a biology in there as well. So again, it's a lot. It's a really heavy science load for first year students. There are some ways that we can kind of work around that. And so if you have questions about it, you should be asking me. But for the most part, yeah, chemistry is biochem, physics, math. Environmental science has a little bit more choice in there. So you'll be looking at taking some biology courses. We have an environmental science course, Gen S 1401. So that will be an important course for you as well. Again, calculus. You'll be looking at taking options from chemistry and physics as well. So a lot of the sciences have very similar requirements, but the amount of science that you are going to be taking or the amount of choice that you have will depend on or will vary from each major.
So we have hello from Hamilton, Ontario. Any good suggestions for BA students with an undecided major? Sorry if this question was already answered. I don't believe so. But yeah,
I don't think so. And this is honestly my favorite question to answer, because the answer is to have fun and explore and really just look at courses, feel it out, read the descriptions, think about what you might want to do. If you want to talk this over, I am happy to do so with you. So feel free to book an appointment or send me an email. But it is about exploration. If you do want a little bit of structure, because I know that that can feel a little bit scary and daunting to just go in and kind of choose everything that you want, going with the distribution. So, you know, what we had talked about earlier with the arts and letters, the humanities, the social science, and the science, getting those courses in first year will give you a nice breadth of understanding of what's offered at Mount Allison. Also get that requirement in, and you may, you know, find what you're looking for in terms of coming up with a major and minor. And then we can meet at any point of the year. If you know, something piques your interest and you decide you want to go into a certain area, we can meet and discuss how to move forward with that.
Yeah, that's totally what I did and worked out great. Really enjoyed my first year in exploring. How are computer science courses structured? Are they lecture-based, project-based, or a combination of both? You know, I'd likely think a combination of kind of both. You know, and maybe that might be a difficult question for us to answer. If you have any insight, feel free to do so. But generally, your course syllabus is going to kind of lay some of those things out as you select your courses, and you'll get a better sense of the course delivery. And any insight into computer science courses in particular?
I did take computer science 1631 when I was a student at Mount Allison. It likely has changed slightly since then, but at the time, yes, we did take the lecture and we did have the lab portion. And so the lecture was sort of discussing, you know, all of the elements and kind of going through that, having the professor there to ask questions. And then we had the lab to do the practical component to work on stuff, but there was also projects that you were working on your own, either with a partner or on your own. So that was the format back then, but please don't take that as what it is now. It may have changed, but in general, that was my experience in those classes. Best to contact the department directly, and they can certainly give you an overview of what those courses would look like for you.
Okay. I think, Ismail, we might have covered this one, but I'll just quickly touch on it again. So just asking if you can switch from Bachelor of Science to Commerce Aviation further in second year if you change your mind. And just to reiterate, it really is important for aviation students to choose their stream in their first year, knowing that that first year sets you up for the continuation of the program in flying. So for all aviation students, you might want to do a little bit of that consideration before arriving, knowing that you can switch right up until you start your courses per se, but really with selecting courses, it's important to kind of know which area you're in. So maybe looking through some of those course descriptions, getting a sense if you're strong in, you know, calculus and physics and some of the more sciences, maybe you'll be well suited to the science degree, but if that's not your strength or your interest, you know, the commerce or arts now can be a good option. So just give that some thought. Ben asked a few weeks ago on the course catalog, I saw an intro to Western religions course that I'd like to register for, specifically code religion 2801. I recently saw was removed. There's a similar course in the catalog, Global Religions, Religion 1611. Is Religion 2801 not happening next year? Thanks.
So you deserve a gold star for like going and finding that detail, because that is wow. Yeah, so we actually just had recent changes to some of the course codes in religious studies, and kudos to you for catching that. Yes, you should be taking Religious Studies 1611. It is an exclusion for 2801, which is it means that it covers the same sort of content, but they have changed the course code, and so that is the one that you should be taking. In terms of, let me just see, 2801, I believe that one is being completely replaced with 1611, but we don't actually have the calendar updated at this point. We will in the coming weeks for sure. But yeah, if you want to kind of check in with me once you have registered for courses, feel free to do so. But yes, it won't impact anything. If you take the 1611, it'll actually count as a 1600 level, which is what we recommend for students that are looking into programs for religious studies anyway. So I think that would be a great choice for you.
Yeah, so this one here, what prerequisites are required for Bachelor of Arts major in psychology in first year? Thank you. You know, probably a common question. A lot of students interested in Bachelor of Arts psychology, so maybe just a little time answering that one could help lots of individuals.
Absolutely. It is a very popular program, and I do answer this question a lot. And so one thing that you're going to be looking for is 2 courses. So Psychology 1001, so Psych 1001 and Psych 1011. You can take note that these courses are labeled Psych 1 and Psych 2, but they don't need to be taken in that order. So they are interchangeable. They are now both being offered in the fall and the winter term. And so you can take these both in the fall, both in the winter. You can take 2 in the fall and 1 in the winter, or vice versa. It really doesn't matter. But what you're looking at is doing those 2 courses, having a C- at least in each of those to gain the prerequisites to move forward into your Psych 2000 level courses. You also need to have second year standing to take these Psych 2000 level courses. So that's something that is a point of confusion for some students sometimes. So you do need to successfully complete 24 credits, which is equivalent to 8 courses in your first year in order to be able to register in those Psych 2000 levels in your second year.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. So John Rogers, as a transfer student, if there are any other transfer students on the webinar, perk up your ears because I think this is a relevant one. As a transfer student, how should we approach course registration if we have not yet received information on the credits that we are allotted? Another question regarding transfer credits, would we find out which credits from previous studies would be recognized prior to the June 1st date?
So Sean's my student, so I'll answer that. So yes, and we have, for the students whose course descriptions we've received, we are working on getting those evaluations completed. And so hopefully we'll have preliminary evaluations out to you before the June 1st registration opening, or if not before, very shortly after. And so what we would normally suggest is registering as usual, as if you were not receiving transfer credits, and then you can change your credits as needed. If you're in a very specific program, you can always reach out to advising as well and just ask us what we would suggest. We might be able to see where we are in the transfer credit process with you, and be able to make suggestions. Actually, yes, we can see that you're going to be able to receive this credit. We usually like to give you the entire evaluation once it's completed, and so that can sometimes take time depending on the different departments we might be looking or waiting for evaluations from. If you're a transfer student and you have not sent us in course descriptions, this is not applicable to AP or IB students. You do not need to do this unless asked. But otherwise, you should be sending us course descriptions for all courses you've completed. So if you haven't done that yet, please do so, and you can send them to advisor@mta.ca. We might not end up needing them all, but it really does help speed up the process if we have those evaluate or the course descriptions ready.
Okay, lots of questions still to go. Hopefully that was helpful for transfer students. Jared is asking, I understand there's a limit to shared credits between major and minor. If you're doing an honors, is it possible to get multiple minors, provided you have time? And are there any constraints on shared credits
By the way, the chat is still disabled. Oh, thanks for letting us know that. I'll try to look into that while Sarah answers the question.
I can take this one if you want, Sarah. So I feel like in the arts too, there are a lot of possibilities to do multiple minors with the honors program because of the exploration aspect of the elective credits that are available to you. And so if you end up applying to the honors program in your third year and you are accepted into the program and you continue on, then there is no overlap limit with what you are completing as an honors program and any minors that you might want to add. For any of the interdisciplinary programs, this means that you will likely have minors embedded. So yeah, if you wanted to reach out at that point and speak to me about it, we can certainly go over this. It isn't anything that you really have to worry about right now. It is a third year thing. As a first year, you're working toward your major and your minor. And so overlap is something that you should be aware of. You can overlap up to 9 credits in common between your major and your minor. So that's 3 courses. So if you're in an interdisciplinary program, which means that you're taking courses from different areas throughout the university, then chances are you're going to have a minor in there that you could use some of the credits in common with that major. To navigate this is one of my favorite things to do. Please get in touch with me and we can find all kinds of ways to put this together for you.
Great. Thanks for letting me know about the chat. It is now enabled for everyone to message everyone. So if you were wanting to pop anything in the chat, you could, but I think we've got lots to go with the Q&A. So if you, what if you were an athlete and your class clashes with your practice schedule? So this isn't going to happen very often. I was a varsity athlete myself, but maybe every once in a while you have that evening course that runs from 6 to 9 p.m. And that's typically when practices for varsity teams would happen throughout the week. So, I don't know if the advisors have any insight there. My understanding as a student athlete, your academics are always going to come first, and you just want to talk with your coaches about kind of balancing those schedules and expectations. Particularly aviation students, I know have encountered some challenges with balancing their flight schedules. So maybe once that portion of the degree program begins for aviation students, if you're also an athlete, that's something to consider and talk with your coaches about. But generally speaking, coaches are understanding and are going to permit you to do the courses you need to move through your degree program. And, and then the athletics, will be secondary to that, but maybe they would work out some other arrangement for you to get some extra training time in.
Yeah, I think that's perfect, Curtis. But also, yeah, you can always double check with myself and Stephanie too, just to make sure that that course is actually required for you. Because it might be that it's, you think that it's a required course, it might not be a required course. So always check in. But yes, that's everything else Curtis said. Awesome.
Okay, Josie from Tatamagouche says, I applied to Mount A before I took my co-op class at the local hospital. After doing my 80-hour placement, I feel like I might want to go into nursing, but I'm still not 100% sure. I don't think you have a nursing program, so what courses for my BSc would I take that would be transferable to a nursing program?
So we can never say for certain what courses are going to be transferable to another school. You could be reaching out to the nursing schools that you're interested in and seeing if they can suggest to you what courses you should be taking or looking at. A lot of times taking a major in biology would probably be good, or taking courses in biology would be a good start, but we really just can't say for certain. Have 100% guarantee what another school would accept. So I'd always suggest doing a little bit of research and reaching out to the schools that you think you might want to go for nursing.
Yeah, and also know that there is a different path as well, aside from going and doing directly into your Bachelor of Nursing program or transferring. But I do have a lot of friends at Mount A that have finished a degree, typically in the sciences, but not even always, and then have gone on to accelerated nursing programs following their graduation from Mount A, which is typically a shorter program before you're in your placement, but just know that there are certainly avenues for becoming a nurse after Mount A if you do a 4-year bachelor degree here, even though the path might take a little bit longer. Those individuals I know who did that felt super prepared when they went into their nursing program, really thrived, and really now have awesome positions as a result of that. So just keep that in mind. You could do your BSc here and then continue on to nursing and get into your awesome career that you want to be in. In terms of
confirming your course selections with an admissions counselor after you register. So Keon had that question. You know, an admissions counselor, perhaps not, but booking that appointment with one of our academic advisors here on the call would be a good thing to do. So even if that booking happens in August before you start, it's still a good opportunity before you arrive to just go over things. So that's what I think we would all suggest here, is book that online appointment with an academic advisor at your earliest availability. And that's probably the best thing that you can do there.
Yeah, and you can,
yeah.
Oh, you can also just send an email to advisor@mta.ca. We have access. Once you're registered, we can go in and see everything you're registered for. So we can have a peek and let you know if everything looks good as well.
Yeah, so if you see that appointment that's booked out a few weeks away, but you want a quicker answer, email is definitely the way to go. Are the class times for next year already available so we can begin to build our schedules ahead of? Yes, so that's definitely all laid out now. Some of the links you'll see in the chat for the timetables, also on your student portal. When you log into the course registration selection, you'll be able to see all of that and start building your schedule. If I want to take a French course, I saw that there was a test, but do we take this before or after we register for said course?
You're not actually able to register in any French courses until you complete the assessment test. So this would be something that you would do through your Moodle account that we talked about earlier. So you go log into your Moodle, you can actually just search French placement test. It will pop up for you. You take that test, it's about a half an hour, give or take. Press submit. When you press submit, it goes directly to the French department, and then they will get back to you within the week to let you know what course you can be registered in. And I believe that they actually CC Reg Help in that email so that you can be registered directly through Reg Help. So just go to Moodle for that.
There was a question about Moodle, so maybe a good time to answer that one. When do we get access to Moodle?
You've got access to Moodle. So if you have already logged into your email and your self-service account, it is the same. Sorry, it's the same as your self-service. So minus your @mounta.ca. So whatever your username is there, you would put that in, and then your same password as you would use for self-service is what you would use for Moodle. Go in, explore. That's where all of the course information, once you have registered for courses and are ready to start, your information for that course will be up there. Remember that it is a person, like an instructor, that's putting that information in there. So they may not have this available to you until classes start, but you will get it in time to start the classes in September.
Okay. If the section I have scheduled on my timetable does fill up before I register, do you recommend taking the time to rearrange my timetable to fit a different section, or just hopping on the wait list and hoping for the best with only 4 courses?
We would suggest that you don't just sit with 4 courses. And so there's another question later, how many courses you should be taking per term. It's 5 courses per term is a regular course load. So 10 courses total for the year. If you're a section of a course that you want to register for is waitlisted, add yourself to the wait list and then choose something else to take its place. Whether or not you should rearrange your entire schedule to fit in an open section of that course is going to depend on your major and how important that course is for your major. So if you have any questions specifically about how to prioritize the courses that you should be registering for, please email advisor@mta.ca.
There's a few questions that are very specific to programs. I'm just going to move through to some of the others that might be more broadly relevant for first. So, I mean, there's a question about how do you switch your major? And I think maybe at this stage, a little bit of an explanation about intended major, when you actually choose your major, and then how you might change that after you've chosen.
Sure. So if you applied to Mount Allison with an intended major already, you will have a major declared when you come in. So that will be on your file. If at any point you want to change this, a lot of times that happens with my Bachelor of Arts students. So, you know, this is definitely something that is possible. You can email me. I can give you the declaration form, but the declaration form is also available through the website. So you can actually just, I go mta.ca space declaration form. It will pop right up there in the search. And yeah, to change your major later on, or sorry, you will have to declare your major. So if you came into Mount Allison as an undeclared BA, BSc student, you will have to declare this by the end of your second term. It's really important to do this because you will not be able to register in courses moving forward until that has been done. You will get a reminder email as well, but hopefully up, before then you will have a decision made and be able to declare that major. If not, we're available to discuss that and determine where you want to head.
Okay, I don't know, maybe this is a better question for the department, but maybe you know the answer. How are the extracurricular music ensembles, strings, choirs that offer a credit graded? Are they percentage marks or just a credit? Are they advised for first-year science students?
So I'm really not certain how they are graded. This would definitely be a question for the department, especially with departments that are very specialized like music, fine arts. You want to make sure that you get in touch with them, because certain courses that you're taking, you want to make sure that you're matching these to your specific, interests and where you want to go. So I would definitely reach out to music@mta.ca and ask that question, and they can get back to you with some insight there.
Yeah, I just wrote that answer to you as well, music@mta.ca. That's the departmental email. Are you able to post your emails for us if we want to reach out personally? So for the advisors, easy, advisor@mta.ca. I'll put it in the chat, and that's going to go to, a shared inbox between Stephanie and Sarah, and they're going to address those in their different degree programs that they're advising. So that's really the best way to get yourself in the queue for answering questions related to advising. For myself, I'm Curtis@mta.ca. So if you have an admissions related question, and often, we're kind of a good one-stop shop until you arrive onto campus. If I'm not the appropriate individual to answer, I'll make sure it gets to the right person. But you can always email admissions@mta.ca for the general admissions email, or reach out to me. I'm going to be in the office for the majority of the summer, curtis@mta.ca. So how difficult is it to play university sports while in your first year and keep up with courses? As someone who went through that, personally, I found I did better academically while I was in season. The reason being, you're very structured, you're going through the experience with a group of other teammates, so you kind of support each other both on and off the field. And you have individuals you can still socialize and have fun with, but during that kind of week, you're in that structured schedule, and it just tends to keep your habits good, and you kind of on top of the ball. So I would suggest, depending on the season, some are longer than others. I played soccer and it was short at the beginning of the fall term. Others like basketball and women's hockey might run, or volleyball might run a little bit longer through the fall and winter terms. So know yourself. I would just say, if you're at all struggling, you want to reach out to those different supports available to you, not just your coaches and your teammates, but the academic support services that are available at Mount A to all students. And I just highlight those. mta.ca/academic support is a really good web link that overviews everything that we offer here. And it's, there's so much support here. If you go seek it out and ask the question, you'll be blown away at how above and beyond people will go to support you. But sometimes you do need to take that step and ask for yourself and advocate for yourself. So I just suggest anyone, whether you're a varsity athlete with that busy schedule or any other student, don't be shy to reach out. That's why we work here at Mount A, is we want to support students and we want to see you succeed. In terms of distribution requirements, what are some examples of classes for the different categories of courses?
So let's say arts and letters, we've got English, music, art history, and then there's VMCS, visual and material culture studies, that kind of spans arts and letters and humanities. Humanities would be like classics, philosophy, history, religious studies, social science. Some of the subjects are sociology, political science, economics, commerce. And then for science, you've got, psychology, biology, biochemistry, chemistry, math. So it's just kind of a general gist of it. All of the distribution requirements or subjects that fall under each of those categories can be found in the academic calendar under the distribution section. So you can access them there. You can also ask us for any information about that. And I think that, that'll be something that you can search through the email that we send through the link that you can open up from that email as well.
Quick follow-up, it'll be similar to that. In first year science, is it beneficial to take more courses from categories like arts and letters, or better to focus on more scientific courses and labs?
So in the sciences, you are going to focus more on your sciences and labs and less on the distribution. And so you might get a lot of distribution done would be 3 distribution in a year. Usually it's 1 per term. In some cases like biochemistry, you might not be able to get 1 done in your first term. It depends again on what major you choose or what majors in general you might be thinking about. And so if you have questions after the course, email goes out tomorrow with links that show you what courses you should be taking. If you still have questions, please let me know. So you can just send me an email to the advisor. But yeah, for the most part, for sciences, you are doing a lot of sciences and labs.
A question about fine arts courses and just being able to permission for those. So are people who are not in an arts or fine arts degree allowed to take fine arts courses?
People that are not in the fine arts program are allowed to take courses, but not on their own. So you do have to reach out to the fine arts department and discuss that with them. If there is space available in the class after everybody that is a part of the fine arts program has been registered in their specific courses that they need, then they will take students on a case-by-case basis. So if that is something that you're interested in pursuing, reach out to exactly finearts@mta.ca and they can answer those questions for you and determine how to get on a list for any of the classes that you're specifically interested in.
Yeah, and you may want to prepare a bit of your artwork just to be able to showcase to them, as usually that's kind of part of the consideration, is they want to see some samples of your work. So just be advised to maybe prepare that in advance and have it ready to send, and that might expedite your answer. There were a few other questions just about like the right courses to take in first year. So I'll read a few of them or 3 of them, and then we can kind of, I think, fill in the important details. So what are the first year courses for Bachelor of Science in Aviation? Well, we did cover that earlier on. So there are some specific courses that you might want to be looking at for aviation, and we would recommend emailing Sarah and she can provide those to you and perhaps book an appointment for any aviation student. It really is advisable to book that actual online appointment and have the virtual face-to-face conversation. But for another one, do we start taking courses from a minor in first year if we are planning to do one? If not, when will we start taking classes for a minor? So it's probably not a hard and fast answer on that, but it's never a bad idea to at least take the intro course. Any other suggestion there?
Yeah, exactly. If there's something that you're interested in, you think you want a minor in it, definitely, check it out and make sure it is something for you. So I would recommend getting into those classes. But if you don't have a minor in mind yet, then exploration on the art side of things, I should say, you do have room to explore different areas and kind of make that decision at a later time. But yeah, definitely, if there's something that you're interested in, definitely try it out, because you may find that trying it out makes a different set of circumstances for you. And so we definitely recommend in first year trying things and then kind of going from there.
There's a question about switching from arts to the arts and science program. And do you suggest you take any specific courses in the first year? I would think, the actual health studies introductory courses would be important to take, but any others that are recommended?
Yeah, so the health studies, there is the recommended courses on that link that we will be providing for you in the email that we send out this week. With the Bachelor of Arts and Sciences Health Studies, we don't have a formal procedure yet on how to switch over because this is a new program. And so I would recommend reaching out to the program advisor for that particular major just to discuss that with her, because the health studies courses, the 101 and the 101, the intro courses, are actually restricted to students that are in that program. So if you're not in that program, but it is something that you intend to switch into, get in touch with her and then she can release it so that you're able to register in those courses.
Yeah, and the same requirements would be for Bachelor of Science, for the Bachelor of Arts and Science program. So students would need that pre-calculus course to have direct entry into that program or the equivalent in their province. So if you have questions about that, wanted to make sure you are admissible, you can contact admissions as well if you wanted to make that switch. So there was a question about an English degree specifically and how many courses I would take towards the major in first year. So again, this is probably a common kind of idea, but correct me if I'm wrong, but generally you're not going to have a whole lot of options beyond, the intro courses, as it is, you take your intros and those lead you into the upper year courses.
So, you know, if students are coming in to take a specific major and expecting to take all courses in that subject, it's, you know, not likely to happen. You might take related courses, but any other insight you might give to those students, English or other, you know, majors, and what they could expect in terms of how many courses they'll be taking in the major area in first year.
Yeah, so under Bachelor of Arts, first year, really exploration. So if you are interested in an English major, you want to make sure that you take English 1201 or Arts 1991. Or sorry, that's being switched over in that new, so it would be Arts 1001. Either of those courses will provide you with the prerequisites that you need to move forward. However, it is also recommended if you want to take additional English 1000 level courses in your first year, you can. And you can't take too many of these, because even if you do, and they don't all apply to the major, you can use these as elective credits. And with the English major, there is certainly lots of room for electives. So keep that in mind as you move forward. If you really want to accelerate things, you know, you should get in touch with me and we can kind of go through how you can maybe do that in your first year. But it's not necessary. A lot of times you're thinking that you need to get all these courses in, and then what happens when students do that right from the beginning is they get into their fourth year and they're left with all of these elective credits that they have left over. And so I would take first year, enjoy the time that you have to just really try out some new things, you know, get in your major, get in a couple of minors that maybe you're interested in, get those courses in so that you're ready for second year. And then as you move forward in your major, you're going to get more and more immersed in the subject area. So by third year, you're probably going to be taking, you know, mostly English courses if that is your major of choice.
So this is probably a common question too. Is there a standard pre-med course load pathway for students planning to write the MCATs and hoping to apply for medical school?
So there's not necessarily a standard. You can get into medical school with many different degree types. If you are applying to a school that requires the MCAT, one of the best things that you can do is Google MCAT FAQs. They have an amazing website, and honestly, they have like a PDF that you can download and read all about the type of courses that they're going to be testing on. We usually suggest choosing a major at Mount Allison that you think you can do your best in, because that's going to be one of the most important parts of getting into med school is going to be your GPA. The MCAT, the courses that you'll be taking for most majors in the sciences are going to cover the courses that you would be tested on in the MCAT, with a few like sociology is one that they're going to test on. You can use that for distribution. If you want specific answers, you can always send me an email as well, but looking up the MCAT FAQs is a perfect way to get started.
And we haven't had one about SAGEP yet, and Lila asks, how do I transfer my SAGEP credits?
For SAGEP, one of the most important things that you can make sure, and I'm not sure if you have them yet, is getting in your final official transcript. We can do a little bit of your transfer credit assessment without that, but we really need that final official to know, because with SAGEP, it depends how many courses you took will change the amount of transfer credits you get. And so it's really difficult to do the SAGEP transfer credits until we have an official final transcript.
So
Sorry, go ahead.
The official final two, just so everyone's aware, that means we have to receive it directly from the institution it was issued. So if you're a Dawson or a John Abbott student or another SAGEP, you have to request that transcript to be submitted to us directly from the registrar's office or the student services department, university placement, whatever they might be called in your SAGEP. But just arranging for that to be sent, there's usually a request transcript option on the website, but just know that's how it's considered official. Okay, so until what year are we able to change our major, specifically for the science program? But you know, maybe a student has gotten into that degree declaration, maybe they're into third year and they still want to make a change. Fourth year, is there ever a time where it is too late or maybe not advised?
It depends. It's always going to depend on what you've been working towards. So let's say you're a student who has been taking, you've been in a psychology program, but you've also been taking many biology courses and you're thinking you want to change to biology. there are definitely circumstances where you can easily do that even in like your final year, tracking towards a different major and kind of keeping yourself on track that way. However, there are definitely a lot of circumstances also where changing your major can really put you back and mean that you might have to take additional time depending on how many credits you have left for that major. So there's not really a timeline unless you want to graduate within the 4-year period. Then you should reach out to advising if you're thinking about changing your major, or if you're thinking about wanting to balance different majors, how would you do that? You should always be looking at program advisors as well as academic advising.
So there's a question here from Kenzie about how many courses do you need in first semester? So this is kind of an interesting one. And need, if you need to maintain your entrance scholarship you've received, you do have to maintain a full course load. So, there's different considerations. You don't need to take a full course load in the sense you could take your time throughout your degree, but there are implications depending on the number of courses you take. So in some cases financial. If you registered for 1 to 2 courses, and you would then be considered a part-time student, and you would pay individually for those 1 to 2 courses. As soon as you register in that 3rd course, you become a full-time student. But in order to renew entrance scholarships or other scholarships, it's typically 5 courses per term. For a total of 10 courses over the course of your fall and winter. So depending on what you need to do, whether it's more important for you, and again, this is going to be an individual choice for students. Maybe you need to take a reduced course load, for whatever reason, to achieve university success. Maybe the financial portion of it is more important to you. So we like to try to inform students about those implications based, on the decisions you make about your courses. But in terms of how many you need to take, that will really depend on you individually. But we would generally suggest 5, and that way you're kind of covering your bases for the ability to renew scholarships and to graduate in 4 years and kind of move through the degree program more seamlessly. Anything else you would advise there, advisors?
Yeah, it is important to remember that the degrees do require 120 credits, which is equal to 5 courses per term times 4 years. And so if you are going to be doing a reduced course load, even if you have your major and your minor requirements completed, you still have to get those 120 credits in. That's where those electives come into play. So no surprises. We don't want to surprise you with that in your final year. You need at least 120 credits to graduate. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, and there is the spring summer term for once you're a current student, there will be students that can pick up some courses in the spring summer in the event they did have a reduced course load or want to get a jump start on things for their next year. So just know that that's an option. However, the breadth of courses isn't going to be offered in the spring and summer as you'd see in the fall and winter terms. So it's not always a guarantee that you'll have that course that you need in any given spring or summer term, but just know that that is possibly an option. Worst case scenario, possibly taking a course at another university along the way is also a possibility, studying on a letter of permission. So there is lots of options. The advisors will be able to guide you along the way in your individual case. And that's why it's always good to book those meetings and kind of stay in contact throughout your whole degree program. This is a specific one about the language in the mind as a minor and which courses needing to take in BA. And just given that is a relatively new program, maybe it's one that's a bit less familiar for individuals. If we want to, we're almost at the end of our questions, just a few left, but it's BA Psychology, Language in the Mind as a minor. Which courses do I need to take for minor credits?
Yeah, so you want to, the Psych 101 and 101 are important to take because those will give you the prerequisites to move forward. Another course that you may want to take is Linguistics 2001. So Ling, L-A-N-G 2001. You probably would like to also get a language solidified, whatever language that would be. So you can decide to take that French placement test that we talked about earlier, or you can do Spanish, Japanese, or German studies. And the Indigenous language is also an option there too. So that's sort of what I would recommend. And then beyond that, a lot of the credits will overlap with your psych major, and so you will have to be careful of that overlap, but we can certainly talk about that as you move forward into your upper years.
Facian asks a question. What advice do you have for a new student who wants to take a major in sociology and a minor in nursing? I mean, the first bit is that the nursing isn't a program offered at Mount A. It wouldn't be an option to do a minor in nursing, but there might be some related programs that would translate to a potential future in nursing or something in the healthcare industry that might also be relevant to you. And that could be, you know, things in health studies, biology. So generally advice, you know, if you kind of are still in decision-making mode, I would, you know, I think the advice would be to book an appointment with an advisor. That's usually the good advice at the end of the day, just to have that chat and we'll get a better sense of who you are, what your interests are, what your kind of end goals are. And, you know, we're a very personal place here at Mount A. Once we get to know you on that level, you know, the conversation becomes a lot easier going forward too. And it's easier to have those quick little email interactions in between meetings. So that's always just a good first step. Introduce yourself, give us a sense of who you are and what you're looking to do. And I think you'll find lots of helpful advice will come. Are we able to take 2,000, 3,000 level courses in our first year? Example, intro to archaeology.
Yeah, so go ahead. There are some courses, we call them courses without prerequisites. So there are some of those that do start with a 2 that you are eligible to take in your first year. And so when you're registering for courses, you'll be able to see if a course has a prerequisite or not. A prerequisite is a course that you have to take and be successful in with at least a C- before you can take the next course. So that intro to archaeology class, for example, has no prerequisites. You can absolutely take it. I know that I've heard that it's quite interesting. So if that's something that you want to do, you can take that. You can also take a 2,000 level course in your first year if you finish the prereq for it in the fall term. So political science students, for example, if you take political science 1001 in your fall, you could maybe take a second year course in the winter. You don't necessarily have to, but you maybe could. Yeah, so just keep an eye out on the prereqs. If you meet the prereq already, or if there aren't any prereqs, yes, you can take courses that start with it too.
Okay, there was a question, I may have missed this, but is there a degree plan available that gives you a recommended course selection for each semester?
Yeah, so the new student website, which you'll be getting linked to, but if you want to put the link in the chat box, it's mta.ca/reghelp/new students. On there, you can look at course planning for each degree program. So if you click on Bachelor of Arts, it lists all the majors and what we would suggest for first year. Science, same thing, commerce as well. So and the Bachelor of Arts and Sciences as well. All of the first year recommended courses are in that area. And if you have questions about it, you can via email as well.
Only 2 questions remain. So Sam is asking, how does a double major work?
So a double major is done sort of in lieu of doing the major and the minor. So major and minor is definitely our most popular combination to complete one of the degree options at Mount Allison, but some students do opt to do a double major. This is something, you know, you wouldn't have as many electives to do. And I'm speaking from my side of things, the BA, I need to mention that because the Bachelor of Science is very prescribed. And so sometimes it's not as easily possible to do over there. But yeah, with the BA in general, if you're working from the beginning toward 2 subject areas, especially if one of them is interdisciplinary and can encompass sort of a lot of the courses that you're doing in another area, then it is certainly a possibility. I would definitely recommend reaching out sooner than later if this is something that you're interested in doing so that we can properly plan for you moving forward and kind of determine if this is something that's possible. But yeah, always a possibility. And again, depending on how long you're willing to be here, or you know, whether you're looking at doing some spring summer courses if it is necessary for you to do so to complete that. But a double major is not necessary. It is something that is a little bit extra over the major and the minor, but some students definitely opt for that.
So the last question, and I think this will allow us to give a little bit of parting advice too for everyone still on the call. So the question is, I'm not feeling very confident. I'd like to start off slow in my commerce aviation program,
what would you recommend so I don't overdo it in first year? So certainly the aviation program, you know, comes with its own unique challenges for students and balancing things. First year is going to be very similar to any other student's first year. But I guess my advice before I hand it over to the ambassadors, or sorry, the advisors, is in terms of overdoing it, and this can happen to anybody, just the new environment, the pace of courses, you know, the expectations of academic quality that will be different often than what the expectations were in secondary school. You know, my advice would be, in terms of not overdoing it, is make sure that your academics are, you know, in order before you start overextending yourself too far in the extracurricular and social spheres. You know, we attract a lot of students that are student leaders, are used to being involved, come to Mount A and choose Mount A because they want to continue those involvements. And I was certainly one of those students. I just found you start to get assignments back pretty early on in the term, and that's a good indicator for where you're at. There's lots of opportunity for you to intervene and to get advice and assistance, take advantage of those academic supports while you're in term. Once you have final grades on your transcript, you know, it's hard to remove those. You can't remove them. And it's hard to kind of recover your GPA at times, especially if you fail a course and that sort of thing. So I always recommend making sure that, you know, you're going to see professors if you are struggling in courses, you're going to, you know, study groups or extra help sessions, you're taking advantage of those academic supports just to make sure you're feeling confident and, you know, you're seeing the results that you want. When you do that, you'll amaze yourself at how far you can then start to extend yourself into those other things. And by the time you're in second, third, and fourth year, you know, you'll be running those clubs and societies and doing all the things you love to do in tandem with your academics. But that just might be some good general advice for everybody, not just those in commerce aviation or any other aviation. Any other advice you would give there in terms of not overextending yourself, how to best prepare academically, you know, what to kind of expect in that first term?
Yeah, I think you really covered it. I would suggest, if you're not sure about the courses that are required for the commerce aviation, that you do send me an email and we can get a dialogue going. That way I can kind of get an idea of which courses maybe you're not feeling so confident about, what your strengths are, and then we can try to organize your schedule. For the program of commerce aviation, although it's quite prescribed, there are not, like, there's some courses in first year that you don't necessarily have to get done in first year, for example. So we could chat about that, and that's open, that's for every student. So if you are not really sure, open the dialogue with myself and Stephanie so that we can kind of get an idea of where your strengths are, and what courses you should be prioritizing for your degree programs. So always be asking for help is really the most important thing.
And go to class, do
And
your
go to
readings
class,
in
yeah.
advance. You will be amazed how far ahead that puts you when you just do those simple things of do your readings in advance and participate in class. You know, everything will kind of make sense in the class if you're doing your readings, and it'll allow you to participate a bit more. So just managing your time well will really be beneficial, as perhaps for some of you, the first time you're going to be off on your own, you know, managing yourself away from home. That is a big transition, but just know there's lots of people here to support you along the way. So really awesome attendance today. I hope this was helpful for everyone. Know that this isn't the last that you'll hear from us. That email is forthcoming to your inbox with all the details on advising. We are available to you throughout the summer. So please remember to book those appointments and those emails, get in touch with us, and we look forward to seeing everyone here in a few months' time on campus. Thank you to our lovely advisors for your time and expertise. And for everyone else, we bid you farewell until next time. Oh, thank you.